Welcome to Cigar Church, where our passion for cigars and our love for Jesus come together. And we are here in ZT Cigars Lounge in Oklahoma City. You'll see a tour of that on maybe this episode or maybe a different episode. You'll see it at some point. We had an opportunity to interview Todd Nafee, the owner, and that was a wonderful interview. And so you'll see that coming up here pretty quick. To my left, I've got Dan as always. To my right, I've got Steven. We got some special stuff for you today. Dan, I'm gonna let you start off.
Hey, we usually do this at the end, and we kind of want to talk about subscribing.
Tickle that bell.
I'm going to tickle the bell now.
That was weird. That was a little weird, Steve.
I knew where it was going. I knew where it was going. Yeah. Anyway, subscribing is important to the channel. It's important to us. It helps with some of the algorithms with YouTube. So if you watch us every week, or even if you don't, you just watch us occasionally, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and like the videos, share the videos, and tickle the bell to be notified when we drop new videos so that you never miss a beat, because we are dropping videos, especially a lot of shorts and some other little things. We started a new segment, which has kind of been off by itself, which is called the humidor tours. So when we go to new places, we try to do a humidor tour at those places, and so you can kind of get a feel for that humidor before you even walk in the building. So subscribe, because it really helps the channel.
Yeah, talking about those shorts, we got the shorts master over here. He's always put a ton of shorts out there and some great ones at that. And so make sure you do tickle that bell and so you know when they pop up. Today we got something really special. We've got a cigar that maybe you haven't heard of. It's a smaller company. I don't know if you'd call it a boutique. It's starting to get a little bit bigger than a boutique, but it did start life as a boutique brand. But we are all smoking Jake Wyatt cigars. That these cigars were given to us to smoke on camera. We want to be honest and upfront about that. From our good friend Tony Gomez, Big Tony. He went from Espinosa over to Jake Wyatt as a rep. Wonderful guy, does a great event, especially with Jake Wyatt. If you could get him to your shop, it would be amazing. But here's the deal. They did provide us with these cigars, but we're going to be really honest about these cigars as we cut these and light them and smoke them. And so we haven't began smoking them yet. And so I'm going to go ahead and get mine cut. You guys want to cut them and light them up. And then we'll go through talking about the ones that we've got. We each are smoking a different Jake Wyatt today. And
we start there. We're also, you talk about today, we're going to be introducing our rating system. Really going to be focusing on a little bit more than usual.
Yeah, so our new rating system, it's not going to be foreign to you guys, but kind of what we're going through, that will be on our website. And you'll be able to see what we're smoking and the ratings that we have given them and what we think about them. There's going to be times where we're all smoking the exact same cigar and rating them, and Steve may rate it completely different than I do, and of course Dan will rate it different than everybody.
I'm going to rate it different.
And so... but it'll be kind of interesting so that you can kind of see who you line up with profile wise. And so as we get these lit, hopefully you're smoking a cigar, watching this, and be thinking about how you would rate the cigar you're smoking. And so, Steve's kind of ahead of the game. We'll let him get lit and we'll let him be the first one to tell us about that cigar. And then we'll go over to Dan and myself. So, Steve, as you're getting that lit up, which cigar did you select from Jake Wyatt?
I got the Herbert Spencer. It's a San Andreas Padero. Got Dominican binder and filler. Clear, beautiful cigar. Tell the camera not only off. The design of it just very pretty with the little rack to the bottom and the top.
What's that first draw like?
Oh, I did. What hard be the first, but good.
Good.
That's
Dan, what did you pick?
So this is the Jake Wyatt Lithium. It's a medium to full body cigar. It's got a Habano wrapper, and I guess I'm Dami D today because it's Dominican binder and filler. It's really good on that first draw. Definitely some pepper in there, but a strong nuttiness as well. So it's got a good first draw. We'll just have to see what it does as it progresses.
Cool. Very good. I chose the Lucid Interval, which is one of the reasons I wanted it is because it is so far out of my normal wheelhouse. It's not a type of cigar that I would normally smoke. It is a Candela wrapper, which if you don't know much about cigars yet or you're learning, Candela wrappers are very unique. They are a green color wrapper. I don't want to get into all the details because it's not what we're talking about today. We'll do an episode where we talk about it, but it has to do with that, the process, when they pull the leaf, when they dry it, and all that fermentation that happens. But it's a green leaf instead of a brown leaf like most cigars are, and it gives it a very unique flavor. One of the reasons I want to go with it is because I'm not a big Candela fan, but I was told by Tony that their Candela is far better. Here's why Tony knows this about me. Tony, like I said earlier, was with Espinosa Cigars and has gone to Jake Wyatt. I was having a conversation with him at one of the events in Tulsa, Oklahoma that he was at, and the Wasabi, which is a Candela from Espinosa, is literally the only Candela I've ever liked. And we were talking about that. He said, you need to try the Lucid Interval from Jake Wyatt. And so as I get those first draws, it's really kind of for a Candela, it's very smooth. Kind of a buttery flavor to it. You know, it's got that Candela wrapper. It's Dominican filler and binder. And it sounds like Jake Wyatt does a lot of Dominican stuff. And so these first few draws on it are pretty good. It's been a little bit since I had that wasabi, so I'm having a hard time comparing it in my mind, but so far I like it. This is going to be a pretty mild, good, easy smoke for the day. As I'm having some problems with my voice today, so it's probably a good choice.
I think it's a good early morning smoke.
Yeah, I think so. So as we get into it, I'll tell you a little bit more about it. So one thing that we want to talk to you today about is our rating system. Now, you've probably seen in different magazines, different publications, different websites, different rating systems. You know, like Half Wheel has their rating system. Cigar Aficionado has their rating system, which is kind of the gold standard of rating systems. And we know there's some stuff out there about advertisement paid. We don't want to get into any of that. We just know that the rating system out there is good. Cigar Snob has a rating system and all that. So let's talk about rating systems, what you guys have seen, what you guys like out there, where you usually go when you're looking to know more about a good cigar or find something new.
You know, it's interesting. When we decided sometime mid last season, you know, hey, we want to start rating cigars, you know, have our own rating. It's not because we think we're better than anybody. It's just we decided it'd be a fun thing to do. One of the things that I was surprised by, you know, and we're still working on our list for top 10s, which we will put out here shortly on our website. On our top 10s, we're always saying, oh, this is in my top 10. Right. You end up with 50 cigars in your top 10. It's like, yeah, it doesn't work. But when you rate them, you know, Steve kind of helped us develop, you know, the base of the rating system, and he'll go through that in a minute. But it was interesting because there's different parts that you look at in the cigar, and finding out, well, I didn't rate that as highly as I thought I would rate it, because when you go through, I'm not good enough in math to be sitting here running a score in my head, because at the end you rate all these things. It's like, oh, it's only an 88. I thought it would have been, you know, a 92. And so to me, it was kind of surprising because, you know, it makes you rethink your top 10 just a little bit.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Steve?
Try getting the milks. My first choice is like you go the the name of that now is like
Cigar Aficionado or
like
Half Wheel.
Is it over half?
Yeah.
Read the reviews. They break them down pretty good. That's what I usually go to first if we have one review available. But as far as the numbers, I usually go by Cigar Aficionado because it's, like you said, it's a gold standard.
Right.
Or whatever.
Right.
But I go to a lot of different channels. I read all kind of lists of the different ones. I used to love the old cigar, which I still do, but when Bradley was there, his palate have a match mine. So
yeah. And that's key. I mean, that's something that you have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Is how wide of a variety of people are involved in putting that number out there. we both, let's go back to it, Don Carlos cigars.
That's right.
I'm going to rate a Don Carlos cigar because of my palate and what I like way higher than you are.
Yep.
And so, and when cigar aficionado or cigar snob or even half wheel, when you have a variety of people that are contributing to that number, that's good because then you don't have the bias of this is what I like. And you're a Nicaraguan guy and you're smoking a Dominican today, and it may not be your normal flavor profile, so your rating on it may be a little lower than somebody who really enjoys that Dominican tobacco. So it's really good to pay attention, not just to the rating system, but how they come to that number, for how they, how many people. I know one thing Cigar Aficionado does is before they put a rating out, their guys have to smoke at least 3 of that same cigar. And so when we were talking about a cigar the other day, not going to name it, but Steve had a cigar for the first time, and it was just terrible. He had to put it down because the draw was bad or something. We know that from time to time, these are handmade products. You might get a bummer. You might get one that just isn't as good.
Sure, Apple, if I read correct with Boar, I think they smoke 3 of the same cigar before they put their numbers to make sure that.
To make it legit, I was smoking a Opus X the other day. I think you guys were with me, and had a massive blowout in the wrapper. And you look at an Opus X and go, man, you're spending premium dollars for that cigar. And if you're only rating it on that one, you just blew the rating because of the blowout on the wrapper.
And also, your palate changes. I know there's cigars I used years ago, but I love now. It changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's talk a little bit about our rating system. We have 4 categories, which most rating systems will have these same 4 categories in some way. But we've got 4 categories. We've got a score that we've assigned the maximum number for that category. And here's the deal. We're not so special that we came up with something all brand new. You're going to look at it, we're going to talk about it, and you're going to go, that's exactly like this one, or that's exact. Yes, we're not creating something new under the sun.
Incorporated what Cigar Aficionado uses.
Yeah, very similar to Cigar Aficionado.
Backer, we want to know where we judge face to where they judge.
Yeah. And for you guys, we didn't want to confuse you guys with a brand new system that you're going, okay, how do they,
Oh, we had some zany ideas. We did, man.
Because they were great ideas, but they were a little.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about what we're doing, Steve, and how we're rating cigars.
Well, we're doing it on the Parachute Construction, the 1 through 15. I mean, you want it to be at a smooth texture, maybe the firmness. Kind of, you see how it hits the oil on it.
Yeah.
And no rough spots and dried spots, stuff like that. So that's kind of the easy one. Doing the fossil flavor is 1 to 25. That's an important one.
Yes, it is.
And that's going to be the most subjective.
Yeah, that's where your palate comes in. And it was the stoking characteristics is if you're a draw, you have to relight it all the time, right? The canoe on you, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Blowouts, cracks.
Yeah, having those blowouts,
Foot coming apart, which I've had happen.
Yeah, stacking dimes on the ashes, all that stuff,
The last 1 to 35 is just you're facing overall impression, how much you enjoy a cigar overall. And that, I mean, it's
really, and really the first 3 are, I mean, they're just pretty standard. I mean, that's the stuff that's not going to really change. One cigar to the other. I mean, the wrapper, the appearance, all that's going to be the same. Whether you look at it or I look at it, it's going to look the same.
Yeah.
The smoking characteristics, like the draw, like the way that it smokes, is going to be pretty much the same unless you've got a weird smoking style, and we know a few guys that do. The one that's going to be a little bit biased at the end of that, you know who we're talking about, guys. We got a good buddy. And he knows it. We've had the conversation. But the one that's really going to come into the biased side of it is that last one, where it's the whole experience. How did I enjoy it? And that's where the flavor profile really starts to come in and change that rating where that Don Carlos would get an 88 or 87 with you and get a 97 with me.
Right.
So yeah, that's where that comes in.
The other day.
Did you rate it? What did you rate it at? Because mine's on there too. So look on our list and see.
And that's the interesting thing. And like you said, you know, it shows you kind of where our palates are. And you may say, oh, I would have rated that lower or higher. I line up with Clay's, you know, profile. And, you know, that's why we did that. So we, in our rating system on our page, you'll actually see our ratings, and we designate the rating with either an S, a C, or a D. So it'll be like a C92 or whatever. Then you'll know, okay, Clay rated that at a 92.
Yeah.
And that way, you know, you can see, oh, I line up with this, I line up with
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
Same.
And there's going to come a point where we've all three smoked the exact same cigar. And so what we might do when we have that is put a unified rating or something where where we average our three ratings and put it together, so you kind of know where we're at on that as a group. So
I gave Don Carlos a 90.
you gave the Don Carlos Anniversario a 90. Yeah, that kind of breaks my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
What did I put? You got it in front of you?
For some reason, I'm pretty sure you get a like 19 though.
Yeah,
He had a frog cup to draw from.
I think so. Yeah, I think I had a little bit of a draw problem on that one.
100 maybe.
Yeah, it might have been. I might have been 110. I don't know. So, anyways, yeah, that's our system, and let us know what you think about it. It should be live on our website. It may be live on our website before this even airs.
Yeah.
But if not, it should be pretty quick. And let us know what you think about some of the cigars. Yeah, we'll be putting stuff on it.
Me and Dan, we constantly update. We're trying to
I'm a busy man, brother. I'm a busy man. I just, you know what? I sit down. I do. I sit down and I start smoking a cigar, and after I'm done with it, I'm like, dadgummit, I should have rated that. I'm going to do better about that, I promise. That's my promise to you guys. Not to them, but to you guys. Promises. So let's talk, though, about really the wild card in all this rating stuff. We can sit down and we can smoke a really good cigar, and by the way, this Candela, Tony, is everything you said it is. This is a phenomenal cigar.
This Lithium is too.
So we can sit down.
Spencer to Zeller, not like this.
See why? Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. Look at that.
Oh, that is burning great.
Man, this one is too. Look at that.
I would show mine, but a second ago I sat back and I unplugged my mic and had to plug it back up. And when I did, I ashed on myself right on my thigh. So yeah, anyway, I pulled it in. But when we're rating cigars, there's something that just you could put a number to, and even the smoking experience, we've got an assigned number to, but there's just something that you can't put a rating on. And that's the overall experience of the cigar. And what do I mean by that? Yes, we've got the smoking experience is one of the things, but sometimes a cigar is better when you're sitting with people, where you're at, with who you're at. A free cigar smokes better than one you paid money for every time. And so I've never had a bad free cigar. I mean, I've had free cigars I didn't like, but it wasn't bad because it was free. I didn't have any money.
I'll give you that.
But there's just something about when you start putting numbers to a cigar, to me, and maybe one of the reasons I struggle with rating them, is it I don't want to use the word undermine, but it kind of takes away from the reason I smoke cigars. I don't want cigars to be a mathematical equation. I don't want cigars to be, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So after you rate it the first time you smoked it, then you just said,
I know I got you.
do it the one time.
I got you. Early on in smoking cigars,
First thought, I wasn't the 20 other ones after that. No need to worry about that.
I get it. Yeah, and I need to do that. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I'm just saying, for me, sometimes the cigar is breaking away from the mental.
Rate 1 out of the 6 cigars you smoked that day.
I could do that. Early on, when I first started smoking, a friend gave me a cigar journal book, and I didn't know a lot about cigars. And I opened this book up, and it's like you could even add a slot for the band, and what kind of and all this.
Much work.
And it was too much, and it took away from it. That's pretty quick, but it just for some of you out there that man, you nerd out on that kind of thing and love doing that. Maybe that's a way for you to really engage in your cigar a little bit more. For me, somewhat takes away from it when you start going into it that much. But What are your thoughts so far? I mean, we just kind of briefly mentioned any changes in the flavors. What are they doing?
Yeah, mine's mellowed out a bit. It was definitely the first third was peppery. Now that I'm getting into the second third of it, it's definitely mellowed out a bit. And that, talking about taste and stuff, for me, and I think you guys will probably agree with this, most cigars do change flavor as they go. And I think that's an important thing for me, because I want a cigar to kind of, morph into something else, and then at the end have that grand finish. Because I have had cigars where it's the same from light to end, it's the same flavor,
Right?
and it's a little boring. I mean, maybe a good smoke, but it's
sometimes by the end of that, you're like, okay, well, I need this cigar to be over so I can go to something different.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, depending on the size of that cigar. You're still doing well.
You'll kind of earthiness, a little bit of spice, but real smooth, just real smooth flavor.
I think
You'll probably be eating the full.
still, yeah. I think
Yours a little bit stronger, if I remember right.
I think so, yeah.
I think that one word
hidden.
that you just said is key, and you said it a second ago. I think about Jake Wyatt cigars, they're smooth, and every one I've had smooth, and it's just not every cigar brand can say that. Maybe that's the thing that is consistent across all of their production, is they're just a good smooth smoking tobacco.
What happened? I'm taking a chance. I might ask myself a little bit, but I'm just seeing how.
See how long it goes. We'll zoom in on it.
So one thing I wanted to mention about this one, you may have noticed I was touching this up, and touch-ups like that, as long as there's not a lot of them, I don't usually ding a cigar over a touch-up. And I'll tell you why, because in the scenario we're in right now, there's a breeze blowing from this way to that way, and that's going to affect the cigar.
And we've got the smoke eater right above us, so that's causing
And
that.
so I've got air, so that means the room is partially smoking my cigar for me as we go, and that causes uneven burn. And I'm not going to knock a cigar for that. If you're smoking outside, that happens a lot. Yeah. So usually the smokability portion, I mean, if it's sometimes you can tell this is not burning right, but a lot of times do I have to relight it? To be fair, sometimes can be due to it's too humid in your humidor. It may have been not stored properly. So again, that reading stuff, you do.
Yeah, and that's fair to mention. You got to be kind of gracious with the way the cigar burns, depending on your environment. And one of the tricks, though, and we don't talk about, we've done some Cigar 101 stuff, but one of the tricks that we need to talk about is when you start to see one burning uneven, and you probably can't see this on camera, but mine's about 1/8 of an inch off in the burn. As you're smoking on it, and even just holding it in your hand, rotate it. Don't hold it in the exact same position the whole time. But when you start to see one edge burning more than the other, go ahead and turn that cigar over. Do about 1/4 of a turn or 1/2 of a turn, so that the heat's in a different place on the cigar, and that sometimes will even that out. More times than not, it'll even that out before you have to retouch it, if you catch it quick enough.
So tell us a little bit about your cigar.
So it's kind of interesting. Like you guys have said, it's been smoking very smooth. That Candela is definitely there, but not overpowering. And sometimes that Candela almost has an ammonia taste to it. I hate to use that word, but almost like it was too young of a cigar.
Don't they use some kind of chlorophyll?
Well, there's chlorophyll in the
leaf.
Chlorophyll.
Yeah.
Chlorophyll is what you kidnap somebody with, right? Is that that's from spy movies and all that stuff? So yeah, chlorophyll is in the leaf, and that's
used differently in the Canelas, Barb. Or something
a little bit different that keeps it green. Yeah, it keeps it green, and it's definitely there, but it's not overpowering like a lot of Candela cigars. It's remained pretty consistent. I haven't had a shift in flavor yet. It's still got that smooth butteriness to it, and it's a lot shorter cigar than what you guys are smoking. Yeah, okay, cool, very good cigar. So. Tell us what you're smoking. Let us know what you're enjoying today. So let's move on to our Bible study part of the episode. And today we're going to be in a really important text. We're in John 11. And I don't want to read the whole chapter to you to make this episode really long. But John 11 is the story of the death of Jesus' friend Lazarus. And there's so much that we can unpack. But let me just, in case you haven't heard the story before, I want to just kind of recap what happens. And so Jesus is doing his preaching itinerary. He's going around doing a lot of preaching, which has taken him away from family and friends and doing some really important stuff, obviously. And his friend Lazarus gets sick. Now, Lazarus had two sisters, Mary and Martha, and they send word to Jesus that, hey, your close friend Lazarus, he's sick, please come back. And of course, Mary and Martha, in their mind, they're thinking that, Jesus has healed the blind, healed the lame, healed, different people. And if he will just come back, he can heal Lazarus and go about his preaching ministry again. And Jesus gets word. And what's really interesting in the text is that we find out that when Jesus gets word that Lazarus is sick, it almost seems like he blows it off. Like, okay. And even his disciples and everybody's going, are we going to go back? Aren't we going to go to Lazarus? And they don't. And what's really interesting in the story, before we get to the point that I want us to focus on, is Mary and Martha have some expectations. They know who Jesus is. They believe that Jesus is who he says he is. They have a need. And let's just say as we might have health needs today, we take those needs to Jesus in prayer with an expectation that Jesus is going to do something about it. It may be a healing, maybe comfort, and whatever. And as we take that expectation to him, we come to that with, here's what we want Jesus to do. So Mary and Martha aren't praying because Jesus is present in the area. So they go to Jesus with their need. They go to Jesus with this request about their brother. Oh, there it went. There it went. It's good. It's good. We're not cutting this.
No, we don't cut
We don't cut this. Even in the middle of a Bible study, we're not cutting this.
I said I was going to try.
That's true.
Right, you're good.
He was
That
going
was
for the
impressive.
marathon. Hey,
and just so you know, you were about halfway down that stick. That was pretty impressive. Good job, man. And so Mary and Martha go to Jesus with this request. It's almost like a prayer request, but they go directly to Jesus and say, come and take care of your friend Lazarus. Come and heal him. And here's where it gets really interesting. We see in verse 12, it says, on his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been dead in the tomb for 4 days. So Jesus took his time getting back. And here's the problem that arises from this. When we pray, we want something done immediately. When we pray and ask for healing, we want God to heal right. By the time we say amen, we want to see something happen sometimes, right? And our timing is not what Jesus' timing is. And here's what's even worse. Our expectations sometimes are way less than what God wants to do. That we pray for healing, we pray for, as Mary and Martha, hey, come and heal Lazarus. They have no idea how huge of an event they're about to be a part of. And so Jesus waits 4 days. He gets there, he may not wait 4 days, but he gets there 4 days after Lazarus has died. Now, here's a question I have. You guys back home maybe ought to answer this question as well. What do you think was going through Mary and Martha's head as 4 days after Lazarus has been put in the grave, they've sent word to Jesus, and they don't even know if Jesus is coming? It's been 4 days. They're grieving the loss of their brother. Boy,
they're disappointed, probably a little bit of anger.
Every bit of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the natural things are the grieving process. Yeah. The denial. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe that Jesus did show. But then you start to get into this anger. You see it when Jesus shows up.
Yeah.
One of the sisters runs out, and I always get them backwards, so I'm not even going to try. One of the sisters runs out, and if you would have got here sooner, if you would have shown up sooner, and it's accusatory of Jesus.
Yeah.
Why did you wait?
Right.
You let me down. I'm hurt. And what's interesting is when Jesus goes on into the house and sees everybody grieving, the other sister comes up. It says the exact same thing, which tells me they were gossiping. They were talking about it. And can you believe that Jesus didn't show up? Can you believe? I thought he was our friend, and all this. And then we get to the point that I want to focus in on for our text, because this is what's really important for us today. And I'm going to start in verse 21, where Martha, the second sister, says, Lord, if you hadn't been here, if you had only been here, my brother would not have died. But here's what's cool. There's the accusatory, there's the anger, there's the frustration. She says, but I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask. And Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. And I love that statement. And I love that Martha and Mary have no idea what he's talking about. Because Martha's response is, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I know that he'll rise again in the resurrection. I know. And here's what I love about this. When we have a prayer request for healing, a lot of times, and I just was at a funeral last week. Well, God didn't heal him here. I know he'll be healed when we get to heaven. I know the ultimate healing, and that's all true, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's us dismissing the fact that nothing happened. And I think that's what Martha's doing. I know he'll rise again. I know all this will be made good. And when you're, but here's where Jesus blows everybody's mind. Martha says, I know he'll rise again in the resurrection at the last day. And Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. And whoever, I am the resurrection and the life. You're looking for something that's coming. You're putting your hope in the resurrection that's going to happen at the last day. That resurrection is all about me. I am the resurrection and the life. And then he says this, and this could be he or she, whoever believes in me will live even though he dies. And whoever lives and believes in me will never die. And we know that doesn't mean that we're not going to die a physical death, but that we will have life even through our physical death. And then he says this, and this is a really important question. Do you believe this? Do you believe this? Where all of her hope was in the healing of Lazarus before his death, now all of her hope is in the resurrection that's going to happen on the last day. And he's telling her something new that she probably somewhat understood deep down in her heart. But he's asking that probing question. Do you, Martha, really believe this is about me and that I'm the resurrection and that I can make this right? Do you trust in that and not just in what you're seeing and all that? How does that question make you guys feel?
There's two parts to that for me. I like the way you read it, because I do think that was what was going on as far as, I know, or, someday he'll be resurrected. But one of the things, and I've been to Bible school, but that's not something I remember ever talking about. What was the Jewish belief on, because I know, that's how you know the difference between the Sadducees and the Pharisees, because the Sadducees did not believe in resurrection.
Yep.
So they were sad, you see. And then Pharisees did believe, so they were fair.
That was cheesy, man.
But it helps you to remember. Anyway, but did they believe in a sleep until the end time, and then everybody woke up?
The idea of soul sleep was pretty widely believed. Here's what's a really interesting part of that, and thanks for bringing it up. If you really want to get into the text and dig into one of the beautiful parts of this text, because of the prophecy of the Messiah dying and then rising again on the third day, there was this common belief in the day. Not everybody believed it, but there was this common belief in the day that if somebody died and God chose to resurrect them, it was going to happen in 3 days.
3 days, yep.
And that 3-day point was vitally important to those who believed that anytime after 3 days, it wasn't possible, which I've always loved when somebody says, God can't do anything. God can't, he has to do it in 3 days or he can't do it. Come on, God can do whatever he wants. And so when Jesus shows up on day 4,
all right,
a lot of scholars say that's Jesus intentionally waiting that long to go, okay, this isn't about what all this folklore that the 3 days applies to the Messiah, not anybody else. And so there's this intentionality that he shows up on day 4. But I mean, Jesus is challenging every bit of their understanding of the resurrection and every bit of the power of the Messiah and what he can do in all this. And so when he says, do you believe this? Her response is perfect. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. She told him, I believe that you are the Christ, which is the Greek version of you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who was to come into the world. And this statement alone is vitally important.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really beautiful about this, I'm going to get into a little bit of cultural stuff here real quick. John, to include this statement from a woman, was very out of the ordinary, because a woman's testimony didn't matter in ancient world. But for John to include this beautiful statement that a female person makes, that you are the one to come, you are the Messiah, the one that we've been promised, is a beautiful statement about women's roles, about women's value and all that went so against culture. But it's exactly the point of our faith, is that we believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, who is the one that was promised, the one who was prophesied about, the one who was to come into this world. And after she said this, the text says, she went back and called her sister Mary aside, and you get into this great conversation between Jesus and the sisters that culminates in Jesus coming to this point of weeping over the grief that the people there have. A lot of people see, when you see that really short verse, Jesus wept, a lot of people misunderstand that and think he's weeping over Lazarus' death. No, he's weeping over the grief and the sorrow that the people there are experiencing. And then he does this amazing thing, that he goes to the tomb and calls Lazarus' name out and says, arise. And Lazarus comes out of the tomb, and just this beautiful moment, right? But at the key of it is this statement from Jesus, I am the resurrection and life. Thoughts on that? How important is that? I mean, that's such a beautiful thing.
Jesus has the power over life and death, as well as the power to forgive sins. And that's, when you realize the power and the wonder with offered to us, how can we not commit our lives to Jesus?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
How can you read all that and not with the holy commit to Jesus?
And the only way is when you read it and go, it's not true.
Right.
My story of Lazarus isn't true. That's the only way you can. Because if you sit here and you believe the historical account of this, I mean, you're right. How could you not? Well, how could you not want that power? How could you not want, not that power for yourself, but be in worship of the person who holds that power? Yeah, that's a beautiful point.
That's a great segue into what I was saying earlier about what the fear or what the Jewish people believed as far as death was concerned, because I think there was an establishment of a different mindset here.
Mm-hmm.
Because what Jesus is saying is, I am the resurrection, because not just here, agree when is talking to, the thief on the cross, because he didn't say, well, when at the day of resurrection, you'll be with me in paradise. That's not what he said.
Right.
He said, today you'll be.
Right.
It's an establishment of a new ideal that Jesus is saying, no, there's no waiting. You step out from death to life. It's a resurrection. And I think that's something that he established as the resurrection, to say, this is the way that this works. I'm the resurrection. And if you're in me, you're not going to sleep.
Paul said to be absent from this body is to be present with Christ, right?
Yep.
That's such a beautiful thing, man. That's good, Dan. That's good. And I think to wrap up this conversation, the beautiful part about this is that you have the opportunity to be in relationship with the one who has power over death, the one who has conquered death by dying himself on the cross, and then through his own power, raising again on the third day. And that's the point when he says, I am the resurrection. The point of it isn't just that he was raising Lazarus from the dead, but that he is the resurrection. There is no resurrection without him in your life. And we all have access to that blessing, that beauty, because then the fear of death is gone.
Yeah.
The fear of what's to come is gone. And that's the biggest fear. Supposedly the biggest fear is the fear of death.
That's what saddens me about atheists that don't believe. I don't judge you. I love you. I love everybody.
Yeah.
but it's sad to me that they don't have that. Oh,
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
That's tough, man.
It is.
That's
It
tough. And so if you would like to know more about the resurrection, go to John chapter 11 and read it. It's a great story, the story of Lazarus being raised from the dead. But take it further. Read the whole Gospel of John. It's an easy read, and see this person, Jesus, who is the resurrection and the life. And it'll change your life. I guarantee you that. How's your cigars going, guys? I'm almost done. I'm getting really close.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's good through and through.
Tony, love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Tony.
I may actually have to get a box of these.
Yeah.
That's really.
I'm impressed. I will say this on film. This is now my favorite Candela.
There you go.
One soon.
We've got one for you. So smoke it and see what you think. As I'm getting to the last, it is getting a little bit more peppery, a little bit more. Yeah, we got a few cigars for each of us here that we're going to be smoking over a few episodes. It may be a few episodes before you see the next one, but that's okay. But yeah, I mean, it's starting to get a little bit more complex and a little bit more peppery here at the end. But most cigars do as you start to get that heat closer in. So thank you, Tony. We appreciate these. And we're going to smoke a lot more Jake Wyatts. Go out and grab you some Jake Wyatt. If your lounge doesn't carry them, because they are a smaller company, more of a boutique company, talk to the owner of your cigar shop and tell them they need to get Jake Wyatt in the humidor because they are phenomenal cigars, well crafted.
I don't know who the really owner is. So I know Jake Wyatt is the owner's son. It's one thing Jake, one thing Wyatt. That's what they.
That's cool. Okay. Very cool. Nice piece of trivia. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
So I didn't.
I thought you everything's about it.
I know a lot about cigars, but not everything. I wish I did. As we said before, say it again.
Subscribe if you like. Subscribe. Please share. Like the videos. Tickle the bell to be notified when new videos drop. Comment. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys.
And we didn't mention it yet. We need to mention this. October 19th. And
We almost forget that.
we almost forgot. This is important. October 19th, we are doing the Cigar Church Experience, an annual event that we're going to be doing every year. This year, it's in Hochatown, Oklahoma, which is southeast Oklahoma. It's good for you guys in Dallas and the North Texas area to get to. Even in South Texas, it's a beautiful place in the mountains, Kiamichi Mountains. October 19th, go to our website, cigarchurch.net, to find details on that. There's going to be 50 VIP packs. The first 50 people to sign up will get those. But here's the kicker. The first 25 of those 50 VIP packs get them for free. The next 25, you got to pay $25.
Yep.
But the first 25 sign up for free. You'll get a VIP pack when you show up. And those VIP packs, we're not going to tell you what's in them until you get there. But they're worth at least double the $25 VIP admission thing. Now, you don't have to be a VIP. You can come and show up, still register, so we know that you're coming and we can be prepared. There's going to be food. There's going to be all kinds of stuff at the event. We'll be smoking cigars together. There'll be music, all kinds of stuff.
We'll be shooting an episode.
We'll be shooting an event there. We'll be doing some live stuff over there, so you might be able to get on film there as well. So make sure you come out to that. Steve, what else do we need to do?
As always, you got any prayer requests, let's email us at contactcigarchurch@gmail.com, stevecigarchurch@gmail.com, or put in the comments to accompany that.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Great episode. And as always, smoke a fine cigar to the glory of God, and we will see you next week.